Alright, I put some pan of water onto the cooking plate, and I hope to get it hot enough and boiling so that it produces enough steam to release the labels you see over there on the cabinet of the RCA. Now, the little labels you see on the outside of the cabinet, I think should pose no problem. I think I can release them with sufficient steam and waiting long enough to let the steam do the work of weakening the glue at the back of those labels. Now, the big label inside the cabinet, that's an entirely different proposition. Nevertheless, I hope that with enough steam and patience I can release all the labels from the cabinet. So let's see. Well, there we go. I just put it over the boiling pan of water, and I'm letting the steam do the work now. So I think every minute or so I'll lift up the chassis and have a look at how we're doing. Okay, I heated it up for a minute or two, and watch this. See? It's starting to come off. So, I think with heating it up for maybe another 2 or 3 minutes, I think I can lift the label clean off. Well, we're 20 minutes into trying to wash those labels off the cabinet, so to speak, and it's really slow going. The glue is a lot tougher than I imagined, so well, I'm trying to force the issue by exposing the label to copious amounts of really hot steam, and well, I'm still optimistic that I can release the label off the cabinet, but I need to be patient. So well, let's just wait and see. Okay, the first prize. I got the label off the chassis at last. Unfortunately, I took off a bit of the paint as well, since it's probably impregnated with glue and all, but I got it off by slicing very gently with my surgical knife beneath it, you know, and moving in slow rocking motions and keeping the blade flush with the chassis. So yeah, this is a good thing I got it off, but you do need quite a bit of patience. So now I'm starting on the small UL label. Alright, I got the serial number label off and half of the UL label. Now, okay, I admit they are not entirely unscathed, but hey, what do you wish? I mean, this label is made out of very thin paper. It's a miracle I even got this much off without too much damage. There is a bit of damage on the edges, but I think I can repair that without too much trouble. By the way, I still have one edge of this label, so that should be rather simple to repair. The other edge, unfortunately, is a bit frayed, but all of the symbols are still on it, so it can be salvaged. and I have one half of the UL label. I'm trying to release the other part of the UL label and part of the warranty label on the bottom. Once that is done, then I'm going to concentrate on releasing the big label inside, and that is going to be a whole other ball game. Okay, I have all the labels off the bottom of the RCA. Just like all the others, they are slightly damaged, but they are still legible, and I can save them and use them, and probably still make them look original enough so that they add authenticity to the restored cabinet. Now I'm going to try for the very large label, the tube chart, inside the chassis over there. So let's hope for the best. I switched strategies for the large label on the inside of the chassis. I felt that steaming would probably not work very well, and it would simply take too much time, and it would probably damage the label even more. So I resorted to flooding it with very hot water, not boiling but hot. I would guess something like 70 degrees Celsius, something like that. And I'm going to leave it in that bath of water for, well, in theory, for as long as it takes, but probably I would hazard an hour or so until it releases. At least that's what I hope it will. And the same thing for the label down there at the bottom of the chassis. So, well, there you go. I'm going to leave it in there for about an hour or so, replenishing the tub with hot water every 15 minutes or so. And, well, I hope the glue will release that way, gently, and well, the label will release gently from the sides of the chassis. There's no way of telling, of course, until we effectively see it float away from the chassis. So let's hope for the best. The weather outside is still terrible. You know, it's raining cats and dogs, and it's actually rather cold. And well, by the way, I'm filming this while it's well past midnight, so I'm certainly not going to work on the cabinet in those conditions. Therefore, I thought it would be nice to do yet a little bit more work on the chassis that needed to be done. And I'm focusing on the schematic of the RCA TV, and more specifically right here on the speaker output. Okay, there's a tiny little transformer here to which the speaker of the RCA is connected, this one here, and that transformer you see here is actually this little transformer here. Now, on one end of this transformer is connected the B plus. So you see it here, 216 volts. Whereas the other end of the transformer, the primary of the transformer, goes all the way to the anode of one of the triodes in a 6U8 tube. Now, you might remember that I told you last time that the sound is pretty weak in the circuitry. So what I'm going to do now, and we're not going to concentrate on the image, we're going to use a signal generator. So in fact the generator you see over there, to inject some low frequency signal all the way back upstream starting from the speaker. So we're going to check, first we're going to measure voltages, and then we're going to check each component, so upstream towards the IF part of the circuitry. So we're first going to check the speaker, then the output transformer, then the voltages and the components around the 6U8 you see here, which will then take us to a potentiometer, which in turn will take us right into the sound IF circuitry. Actually, I'm also taking the opportunity to test my function generator. I bought it a few weeks ago, and well, I haven't found, or rather I hadn't found the right occasion to use it as yet, and now seems to have come the time where I might use it in a useful, constructive way. So I connected up my function generator up to the speaker directly, and as you can read on the screen of my function generator, I'm pumping in 0 volts, okay, and it's set to a sine wave of 900 Hertz. Okay, so well, let's see what happens if I pump up the output voltage or the amplitude of the signal. It can go all the way to up to 20 volts, but well, obviously I'm not going to do that, but there, that's 7 volts. Now let's see what happens when we change the frequency. I don't think I can hear this. Maybe some of you can, but I do not. So let's go back down. Ah yes, that I'm beginning to hear, but it's pretty loud, so for somebody who's pretty much deaf like me, this is normal level. Maybe for you it's very loud, but for me it's actually rather quiet. Oh yeah, now that sound I do hear very distinctively. Okay, that's 100 hertz. And I hear like a kind of a low buzzing in the speaker. Okay, that's 200 hertz. Okay, in any case, what this proves is that the speaker in itself works. Okay, so that's great. At least now we know that the speaker works. So the next thing I'm going to do is to hook up the TV to the AC, and I'm going to first of all measure a few voltages around the 6U8. Now at least the V101B, which is the sound triode, and is in this 6U8 right here. Okay, so I'm going to check some voltages around this 6U8, and if the voltages measure fine, then I think I will inject an audio signal into the grid of the 6U8 and see whether it amplifies the sound correctly. Alright, the TV is on, and I'm going to inject a 900 Hz signal into the grid of the amplifying triode of the 6U8. So here we go. So yeah, I think the triode works. Next, let's check the voltages. Now, I have my multimeter standby. So, if I measure on pin 1, which should be, let me see, this pin here, I should measure B+, or thereabouts. So it's almost 209 volts, which is pretty close to what it should be. The schematic says 209 and it's 208.5. Good. Now I should measure the voltage on pin 8, and pin 8 is here, and that should measure about 4.1 volts. Well, it's a bit higher. It's, yeah, around, let's say 4.4 volts, 4.5. So it's a tad higher than what it should be, but it's still within range. So the voltages, the DC voltages, are okay, and when I inject a low frequency signal into the grid of the amp tube, then we get a nice sound out of the speaker. So what I propose to do now is to hook up the tuner to my pattern generator and inject some sound through the RF and see what comes out of the speaker then. Alright, I hooked up the TV to the pattern generator at my feet down there, And I'm injecting sound into the TV as well. And listen to this. Clear as a whistle. Okay, and it turned out that there were a few bad contacts, or I should say corroded contacts, at the pins of the 6U8, which is down there, over there in the chassis. So I cleaned the tube pins and I injected some contact spray into the tube socket, and now the sound works admirably well. And it's really loud. So, you know, for me to say that it's loud, that is saying a lot. Yeah, so yeah, well, I'm glad I fixed that as well. So it turned out not to be an electronical problem at all, but rather a problem of corroded contacts. Great. Now you can see for yourselves that the symmetry of the picture has improved a lot. Yeah, so okay, it still needs a little bit of tweaking, but actually I'm rather pleased with the quality of the image. I'm really glad. The symmetry is okay. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. The vertical, as you can tell, is a little bit touchy because, you know, the TV needs to warm up. But once the TV is warmed up sufficiently, it's rock solid. So yeah, well, you know, if you look at the image with, say, a checker pattern, let me see. No, that's not the checker pattern. No. Righty. Well, this is the checker pattern. Well, it's okay. Like I said a minute ago, it's not perfect, but I've seen much worse. There's still that deformation in the picture here. Yeah, that dimple right here. And for the life of me, I don't know why it is doing that. Now, I think maybe the picture is folded over in horizontal sense. Yeah, so what you are seeing in fact here is the left edge of the picture folded over onto itself. Now, at this stage, it's only a guess. I'm not sure. But I guess with a little bit more tweaking, I might be able to get this part of the image right as well. It still lacks a little bit of height right here at the very top of the image. But that too can be fixed. I think that has to do with the vertical drive. Yeah, so, or well, the vertical linearity, I should say. So I guess tweaking the vertical linearity will fix that as well. Okay, so all in all, I'm more and more satisfied with how this TV is functioning. We are getting very close to the point where we can consider the electronical part of the TV as ready. So what I'm going to do now is do a little bit more tweaking, and then I will start to dress all the wires correctly as they prescribe in the service manual, and then I will reassemble or reconnect both halves of the chassis to each other to form the original chassis again. And once I'm at that point, then well, I guess we can call the restoration of the chassis as done. The only thing I need to tackle from then on is the cosmetics, so the cabinet really. So yeah, well, here we go.